I feel like I haven't made a video in a few days, but I'm glad that the last video was really the testimonials that you heard. If you watch the prior video, you understand that when I said that the validation that we have as target individuals are just so obvious. And it's funny, I'm seeing some of the comments. I'm not sure if these people are perps, but they try to be like, I'm this, but yeah, I'm not experiencing that. And it's just kind of pathetic. But that's what they have to do. So let me just introduce myself. I'm what you call a TI, a targeted individual. And what it means is I'm one of these many people who are experiencing these disturbing manipulations and just a lot of things are happening around me. And the purpose and the reason why it's happening to me is not because I'm anybody special. It's because, well, I'm special in the sense that I'm a human subject now. I'm a human subject, and the government, these governmental entities really tied to the DoD, DARPA, and those agencies have ran a program where they are utilizing human beings, human subjects, and implementing some of the craziest tactics in order to get the results that they want, but they're utilizing technology that are extremely sophisticated. So you hear some target individuals who deal with gang stalking and noise campaign and a lot of things happening around them where their life is being degraded in certain ways. But then you hear others which you just heard in one of my last testimonials with the validations, that no one experiences gang stalking and people around them and doing this and that, but also, which is definitely the foulest part, not even the foulest, but this is the most science fiction like thing, is when they utilize this technology, which you might have heard of, called V2K, synthetic telepathy, where they're utilizing this DARPA technology that overrides your thoughts, that literally takes over your thinking, memories, your reactions, and it controls your mind in ways you can't even understand, and just almost unbelievable. And it does so much to your body and your organs and all these things that it can do to you. And this is like this governmental technology, and we are just human subjects. And it's obvious after a while, then what we also experience as target individuals, we have people who surround us, and they're obviously contracted by the government. These people, they try to make it look, it's like their job is to create a psyop, right? It's a psyop where they want you to think that this is something else, make you believe a whole different storyline, a creation of whatever they want things to be. And you see who's talking to you, and you realize, of course, that's not what you're trying to tell me it is. But I know what this is, obviously something bigger than just what you're trying to present. This retardation, I'm sorry for the word, of these narrations they put together. And you see it, I see it for what it is, a government-led program where they are utilizing extremely sophisticated technology, implementing it onto human subject because of the developing of this technology. But you have people around you who are trying to not only gaslight you in a sense, and I don't even know if gaslighting is the right term, because gaslighting sounds it minimizes how systematic things are. But it's the same method, basically trying to make you believe something that you know is not true. And they do all kind of like disorienting, diverging tactics as they manipulate you or as you experience these manipulations. It's disgusting. And it's your whole ecosystem. Your whole ecosystem is meant to make you believe something that's falsified. It's nasty. And you have all kind of people involved, because this technology, that's when you know the sophistication and how this network of technology is sophisticated to the point that you see people who they're just children, like if not even children, they are like childlike individuals. And it's almost comical to see how they try to get you to accept these things that you know is manipulated. You are literally becoming forced to think in this in illogical ways, and try to make you they try to then these perps, these people that live around you, and they don't even have to be living around you, people in the streets, wherever, all these people around you that are, and it's truly a whole ecosystem surrounding you. I'm not saying the whole world is after you, but everywhere you're gonna be in the world, there'll be people dedicating their time for that, because it's part of this program where they're developing this technology, and there is a result they try to get out of all of us. And this results, this database, is something they continue to improve on. And so they use these people who are neighbors, who are cops, firefighters, anybody in your whole ecosystem, just to try to get you to accept these things. Now, sometimes you think that everybody is, sometimes it's not the case. But a lot of what you are surrounded with, these people, they purposely make sure that there's people around you involved in this. They call them perps. And so they do they're really trying to get you to accept these things. They're really trying to get you to be subscriptive of these things. It's, I'm thankful that I had the chance to talk about my testimonial. I don't care about my face not being seen, but I like to see. I'm thankful that I had the chance to speak about what's happening to me, because these perps around you, as they do what they're supposed to do, they are trying to maintain this fantasy they put together. It helps them cope with what they're part of, because it's fun for them to do what they do, but they want to live in the delusional reality where they are in this different group. So for me, there's a psyop of like, this is a group of this like feminist group of women that are like avenging and protecting and doing and protecting the community, and they're doing this, and you're this and that, and they're there to stop you, and they're investigating, and they're all like clowns, gimmicky fantasies that put together, when the reality are they are part of this program that is utilizing human beings as guinea pigs to implement disturbing tactics in order to break these people down. But the reason why they do this is for the purpose of this technology and the developing of this technology. And they have this trash that they teach how to use those like scriptive things. They say the things repetitively. They try to diverge. They every time, it's always the same tactics. It's so predictable in the sense that they are very systematic. For example, with me, in the last videos, you heard about this like pattern of things they do, right? This patterns of these tactics that they torment people with. They do this pedophilia type of torture. Now, these people are, it's funny. I see some comments where like, I'm the TI and I'm not getting these things. There is a noticeable percentage of target individuals who are saying that they do this pedophilia type of torture. You heard in the last video. Matter of fact, I think Robin Duncan, when he did his survey, he surveyed 1,000 target individuals who are going through the V2K synthetic telepathy. Out of 1,000, he said the majority of them were getting this type of like tormenting, where they force and they implant thoughts, or not even thoughts, but they have you imagine like child porn in your brain. Now, this technology can make you have imaginations and thoughts. It's so disturbing. They overlay your brain. According to what I kind of read and heard about, is somehow your brain, once they have mapped your brain initially, and they can connect your brain signal to some kind of device. Once your brain is connected to this device, to this technology, they can start overlaying different brain signals, and it's done in a very automated way, where you start thinking and imagining things in these disturbing ways, and it's just you recognize you're no longer yourself, and with time those it gets more and more ingrained, and so it's like, I think Robert Dawkins said something like, like with time, it's like when you're with somebody for a long time, you start like knowing, like yeah, you have a partner and you've been with that partner for a long time, you start figuring out what that person's going to say before they say, like you become more in tune with them. So with this technology, it seems like they can, the way they manipulate you, it becomes more and more subtle. It's just like you start like becoming, you start like, it just goes into you even more, in the sense that before it was just too crazy, it was so nasty, but with time, it's like you get used to these disgusting ways. It's just like that's something you expect, and so you're not as shocked as you used to be, and it becomes like just conditioned into you. It's so disgusting. But those thoughts that they overlay into your brain, and it's not even thoughts though, is they even manipulate perceptions. These things are so precise. This is why I'm thinking they continuously do these things, because they continue to add to these precisions of what they're capable of doing. These other things they do is it's almost like a distraction of reality. They just try to make us believe other things, but the reality is your brain and your body and your organs is just like a guinea pig to them. You're just a subject, and they do all these things to you, right? And this trash, these perps, are trying to distract you from realizing what's really happening to you as what you're really part of. Like, you're a guinea pig. You are being your body, your brain is all. These governmental entities are obviously the one in charge. They might be the one. This trash might be the one implementing. They contracted, but you understand that you definitely not. It's obvious. But you are no longer yourself. You have these different perceptions, thoughts, memories. All of that is changing. And then you have people around you, when you experience this thing, to look at you, and they try to do everything possible to make you believe. And you look at you, it's like a gimmicky. It's like they really want to act accordingly, but you're so validated because you heard the last testimonial. This is not somebody 1 or 2% is saying. This is something that so many others are saying, talking about how they no longer like. And we'll talk about people talking about it a decade ago, or even so. You can only understand how the precisions have increased. If you think about like how technology was a decade ago, and you can imagine these people were talking about it 10 years ago, even further, 2007, even further than that. So you understand things becomes even more and more precise. But you have an ecosystem of people of all sorts try to convince you that no, you should accept to this. It's not being manipulated. Look how you're reacting. They bring the babies, the children, and just looking at you, waiting for you to look at them so they can do this manipulation. Like, you see, we caught you. That's disturbing. For example, yesterday, I'm in the car, right? We're driving somewhere, and I'm seeing a cop car, whatever. You see law enforcement's involved, all kind of people involved. You see this, like, every type of individual you can imagine are involved. Of course, they need everybody, a whole ecosystem to be involved. I was with this perp. This is disturbing, and it took me a lot, but I'll talk about it later on, and there'll be another video I'll make about that. But I was with this perp. I'm in the car with her. And I'm looking at this cop. He's trying to, like, you can see he's trying to look at me in a way and trying to make me be subscriptive of this thing. So I'm like, I know what this is about. I understand you know that too. And then he goes away, and I'm looking away, and I see somebody, and I get a weird feeling from afar. This is a person who's wearing like a big, like not big, but a coat that, like a winter coat that gets to like past, almost like high thigh area, right? And I'm getting a weird feeling. I was like, whoa, why am I feeling this way? I look again, and I'm realizing this is like a 10-year-old kid. But from afar, the way they make me perceive this person, it looks like an adult. I'm like, what? And I look at her and I think her brother, And they look like they're little people, but for a second there, I thought they were like adults. And I was like, wow. And then they would try to make me perceive these kids in this sexual way. They have these ways of like making you get this weird like perceptions and imaginations. This they made me imagine this kid's but in these ways, and you can't even see. She has a coat. This we're talking about 10-year-old. She has a coat that covers that portion first of all, and but they were still trying to create this thing, and then they try to make me her little legs try to make me imagine like they can make me look at a child the way I would look at a woman. And just like whoa, and it takes you a while to just like this. And this is crazy. In my brain, they try to create these bottles. They're like, this is a 10-year-old kid. And she's like wearing coats and everything. I'm like, what? It took me a second to even realize that this was not an adult. And it's funny, I was in the car, started laughing. And she's like, the person who's a perp is like, oh, why are you laughing? It's like, oh, no, I'm just looking at these kids. And I was laughing that how can you even try, like how they made me look at this 10-year-old kid for a second, confused me to make me think that she's an adult. And now try to make me look at this kid's legs because they were trying to do this kid's butt first that you can't even see. In this disturbing perception of it, I was like, what the hell? This, and they're trying really, and I was like, wow. And in my mind, they were trying to bring up some stuff like, no, but remember, Billy, stupidity. And they have this trash in the next door who try to make you subscribe to these things. Now, from this point on, every time they do these things, I will bring the reality. You hear that they manipulate the perception. I'm telling you, I think that they're going to make me see things to another level. I think they're going to make me hallucinate things. I think this is like a light start of what they can do. The day I knew that things could be very bad in regard of make me see things that are not even there or really create things that are not, is when I saw a plastic bag falling down. And you feel, because I live in this building. For 2 seconds, this black plastic bag turned into something else and looked like a car. After saying that, I'm like, they are just really starring, and it's gonna be worse. But this moment, it just caught me. It was like, yes, this is bad, but it's just crazy for like. My brain had a confusion to even understand if this was an adult or not, and then I was able to get the right perception when I started seeing this kid next to regular people, and it's like, this is a kid, it's like, this is a little baby, but they had created this perception in my brain that they can make me see this kid for something else but a kid. And they would try to make me look at this kid's butt that couldn't even be seen because she's wearing a coat that goes over her. And try to make me perceive that in this way. They would try to make me perceive this kid the way I would perceive a woman. Literally. And it took me a second. And I'm like, what the hell? This is crazy. And so then they try to get you to be subscriptive of these manipulations. They can play with perceptions, and it's ridiculous how they can make you look at things and you don't even understand why am I perceiving in this way. This is not even possible. I can't even see this kid's, but you're making me look at this kid body area to try to make me imagine it like the way I would look at a woman, and you can't even see. This is the things I deal with nonstop. It's delusional. It's manipulative. And then they try to gaslight you. It's like, oh, you see, we caught you. It's like, that is disturbing. And that is pure proof that you can manipulate me to that level. First of all, having doubt that this person is even an adult or a child. Make me think that, and then you look at it, no, she's not even an adult. It's like a 10-year-old kid. It's not even like a teenager. It's like a baby. A 10-year-old, maybe 11 max. It's just nasty. And in my brain, they try to create these bottles. But my point is this. You are being played with in your brain, is being manipulated, and they want you to be accepting of these manipulations. And you have these perps, some of them are childlike individuals, who are trying to convince you that this is you. See, oh, we got you. Oh, no, but remember this. Remember. It was this, I'm going to say that, but please understand this is how I'm being played with. Billie Eilish, remembered by Bill. It's just you become. There's people who. How can I describe you? Rationality and logic is just destroyed. And you have childlike individuals and even adults, right, who want you to accept these retardations of ways of thinking. They want you to be subscriptive. And you hear these people, for example, in the hallways right now, because they want me to accept and box in these retardations and these ways of thinking and to be accepting of this manipulation. They try to make noise campaign. Like they do a noise campaign to just box in these ways of perceiving that are manipulative as hell. Yesterday they try to like make me accept that, because what's happening now, I get reactions and sensation toward children of all ages. They force me to get these nasty stimulations, and your memories are eroding. They are slowly erasing your memories, manipulating your memories, making you experience different memories. And they will have like these arguments where they'll make me think of, for example, Jennifer Lopez, right? They talk about Jennifer Lopez. I'm watching this thing about entertainment, and they'll make me think, of Jennifer Lopez kids, and make me have these reactions. And it's like, you see, remember you felt that like that. And then this is because what they try to do is, as your brain and your memories are kind of fading away, you know that they've been manipulating my memories. They've been manipulating memories and making me experience things that I'm experiencing today into my memories to say, you see, we matched it. We mapped it. You hear the noise campaign. We mapped it. That's proof. So they would try to like make me think of her children, right? And I remember seeing her children not too long ago too. But I'm not sure if it was before August 19, 2019 or after. And the reason why I say that date is because after August 19, 2019 is when they started doing these V2K things. It was just when things changed in my brain. And so your brain is just like, because I know I've seen these kids at some point before August 19, 2019, but maybe once or twice. It's just my memory of that is just, it's not like this her family is in a always, she doesn't show her family, but I won't be surprised that I saw her kids after that at some point, and then I get the reaction, the stimulation. So they try to make me imagine, like, oh, well, remember you felt that? I was like, I would not feel like this before August 19, 2019. So if I saw this before August 19, 2019, and this picture of these kids that they make me imagine, I would not have this reaction. But if it was seen after August 19, 2019, I will have these disturbing reactions. But my memories are fading, especially when it comes to memories that are not strong. I'm not going to remember all that day. That's what day I saw. So they try to play with those. And this continuous memory manipulations to try to get you to accept these nasty manipulations. It is nasty. Nasty. And you deal with these people who are next door to you, who live with you, who are trying to convince you that these things, you should feel guilty because it's you. When in reality, they very much very, very, very much know that what you're experiencing today is no longer you. You are no longer yourself. You have not been yourself for a long time. Since that day they told you that we have your brain, that's the day that you're no longer you. The day they told you to kill yourself because you're no longer yourself, that was the day you were no longer experiencing organic feelings, reactions, thoughts. That was the day that you completely were erased. That's at this point, from this point on, because we have connected your brain to this device, we are going to make you experience whatever we want you to experience. You are no longer yourself. They told me that. And who is they? They use the V2K. They're like, listen, we have your brain. Kill yourself. It's like, I didn't know. Of course, I don't understand what they're saying. Initially, you're just confused. You're like, what do you mean? Who are you? And you interact via V2K because they make you, like you get like this weird ping noise, and then you start hearing these people via V2K. And this technology is an old technology that can project somebody's voice onto your brain, and they can do that remotely. And so you hear this person addressing you, talking to you, and saying, "We have your brain. Kill yourself." And then you're like, "What are you talking about? Kill myself? Of course not." And then you get it. That's what this person was saying is, you are no longer you. Might as well kill yourself. You are going to experience what we want you to experience. And I didn't get that point. And they will stop. That's when this whole experience started. Disturbing dreams, reactions, memories manipulated, all of this. And then try to find ways to, oh no, we're doing that because, when you were at this club, you did this and that. I was like, listen. Then you find out that these people are torturing so many people, including women and children. That these people who's talking to you, talking about you in the club, whatever, are in a program that is doing so much horrible things to women, to children, and they do these tactics of pedophilia type of tormenting. And these people truly sold their soul to freaking entities that, they have problem with pedophilia. And you're like, what? This is so nasty. And you hear these losers finding strength in this. You see these frauds try to come up with these ways of blocking our reality to enjoy and create this fantasy and escaping this fantasy they've put together, instead of seeing for themselves for what they're part of. You're part of this program that is literally using human beings as guinea pigs, and your job is to manipulate somebody, to make somebody accept these manipulations that is manipulations, but you enjoy what you're doing because it gives you a sense of godlike power. These people can tell you all the things you're going to experience. They can sound a certain way. These losers, this weak trash, can tell you're going to burn. You see who's talking to you. This is a person who will not even want to look at you. That has no idea. She can eat something wrong, feel sick and be in bed all day, but when she talks to you, burned. But for me, I've humiliated them. Because the people who put me in this program are very conservative, to the point where they donated money to somebody who's allegedly picking up kids as young as 14 years old. And so these people who try to talk to me, you'll burn yourself. And I said these two words, Roy Moore. You see, that's what you are. I'm saying a name of somebody who's allegedly picking up kids. And you see how you can't even say his name. Because I know the reality. This trash will tell me who I'm going to burn. Who's going to watch me burn if I'm going to burn. Works for these governmental entities. And she's just a trash the government uses to implement these things. So death comes to all of us. You become spiritual and understanding. This is kind of, as sufferance I'm going to go through, whatever sufferance I'm going to go through, this trash have to live life doing this. Or chose to live life doing this. And she's going to die. A very pathetic death that's going to come to her the way it needs to come to her. But while she was alive, this loser was seen for the losers that she was. She tried to make herself more important than she is when she's just a loser. They can't even say the name of this pedophile. And find out the humiliation that these entities filled with pedos are contracting these losers. And they have to counter and create this psyop. Death comes to all of us. I rather starve to death in the streets by myself, lonely, than having to live this life where I have to dumb myself down, make myself a clown, be a hired clown for the purpose of enjoying what I'm doing. Being a program that tortures even the babies. Infant, 3-week-old babies being tortured in this program. And this trash like barren. Nasty losers. They try to dumb themselves down, lose their whole intellect. Because they need to counter the reality of They have these systematic tactics. It's been testified. It's obvious. You see the patterns that they do these things. This woman told me something that was so disturbing. And it was just, and they tried to make me think this way. They're like, yes, we do the pedophilia type of torture, right? We do these things where you can make you think in these ways. But with you, we just mapped you to when you were a kid. We make you think the way you were thinking when you were a kid. And it's like, both can be true. So you tell me the people who are, they've been systematically manipulating people in these ways of thinking, that do the pedophilia type of torture. In my case, they're not doing that. They're making me think the way I was thinking when I was a child. And they look at you seriously. Do you understand? They literally admit that they do this pedophilia type of torture. But in this case, now, for you, it's not happening. We're mapping. We're making you think like a child, castrate, and try to diverge. This is the kind of stupidity that these grown men and women and some childlike individuals have to act accordingly. I was like, no, but you know what? It's our money. We're different. We don't do that. We don't do the pedophilia type of torture. Yes, you heard that, but we don't do that. It's like children almost. But I'm talking about like this grown men and women saying that. And you're like, you think I'm going to ever let you live your fantasy? Of course, I know you do the pedophilia type of torture. With me, one thing they've been trying to like hold on to so much is me, the stupid thing I did when I was in middle school, the stupid moment of a child. I did some impulsive, stupid thing as a child, as a kid. And they're like, they get so mad, it's like, oh, this is what you're going to pay, you'll be abused, These people have to exaggerate what I did as a kid. But they're in a program that literally tortured children as young as 3 weeks old. Sexually tortured 3-year-old, 4-year-old, and 5-year-old. And like, no, try to like be aggressive. And then what they do is like, they do this pedophilia type of torture. It's like, no, we mapped it to you when you were a kid. Remember what you did when you were a kid? It was like, and let me tell you, what I did as a kid is something I did to myself when I was a child. And they send these retards, these childlike individuals who try to like, no, we mapped it. No, you do the pedophilia type of torture. And you think that, you're going to make me think that, it makes sense for me to think that what they do is make me think the way I would think when I was a child. When I wasn't thinking like that when I was a child. But even like that logic, it's like me looking at grown men and women. It's like, no, we're making you think the way you were thinking when you were a kid. We mapped it. We did this. We did some things back, we rewired things for you to be a child. And today, that's what you're experiencing. We're not doing the pedophilia type of torture that you just heard a lot of target individuals experience when they have this video game synthetic telepathy. This is the nastiness of these retards. And immediately try to diverge. Oh, you're going to be crying a lot when you be tortured. Yes. I'll be tortured, I'll be crying a lot, and I'm being manipulated to think and experience this nastiness. And you work for entities that have a bunch of pedos. And there's no torture that's going to... Working for entities who contract this trash. Those entities have a bunch of pedos. And you're trying to turn target individuals into something they're not, and they use this pedophilia type of torture. And you are deluding yourself to think that anybody will ever subscribe to this retardation logic with the amount of pedophilia type of torture they do. It will never happen. There is no distraction, disorientation, or diversion that's going to change that. These losers, this trash, enjoy what they do. I understand why they will enjoy it. It gives them this sense of power that they don't really have in real world. But one thing is for sure, this nasty trash will get what it comes for them. To all my target individual, real target, not even real, anybody who's a target individual who experiences these nasty things and then they try to gaslight you into accepting these disturbing manipulations, and you hear this contracted trash try to make you believe these things, telling you that because we're going to frame you, it's validation. This is what they tell me, how they're going to frame me. Right? They tell me all kind of different frames. They say this kind of frame, and like all kind of... I'm like, that's not going to change reality. I rather get framed than having to live the life that you live. This coward is trash. And I'll see you for what you are. Death comes to all of us. I was in bed and they did this thing to me. And for some reason, it was painful. But the pain coming from then feels dignified in the sense that you feel something spiritual about this. I don't want pain. I don't want to suffer. I don't want to be screaming and crying. I don't want that. I want to live a good, comfortable life like everybody else. But in this program, it's different. I feel like I'm thankful. And I just ask God, first of all, I thank God. And I ask God, give me strength for this theater of torture I'm going to experience, because this trash is being humiliated by reality. And I'm thankful that I'm not one of this trash. Thankful that I didn't have to dumb myself down, making myself sound a certain way to try to create this psyop of some sort. Oh, we're God. Oh, we're thankful. Oh, yeah, it's you. You're like, when you see who's talking to you, look at this loser. Talk to me like this again. Like, look at me and talk to me. See how humiliating it is. They're trash. So me now, they tell me about these horrible things that are going to happen to me, and I know it's going to be horrible because they've been humiliated. They call it, I provoke them. Because I bring the reality that they want to escape from. Oh, it's provoke. You keep bringing, why there's so many pedophiles in this agency? Stop provoking us. Trash. Target individuals. See them for what they are and listen to what they do. From this point on, I will always bring these obvious validations, testimonials that show the tactics they've been utilizing to torment us. That is very systematic, and you can see the obvious patterns. So stay strong and see these losers and this trash, whatever the psyop they create. If they try to make themselves be like this bullshit psyop. No, that's just this large government. These entities are obviously governmental, DOD related, DARPA related. This trash, you see, just contract this shit. To all my target individuals, stay strong and know that justice will be done for the nasty things they've done. Calling themselves gods, I'm like, please continue. They like to say we're God. They like to say they're gods. I love when they say that. Because first of all, it's already bad. Anybody who's called themselves God is just time waiting for reality. But on top of that, they are just such like nobodies. That I'm like, please do that. Please call yourself gods. I pray that you continuously call yourself God. I've seen you God. I've seen one of you guys being gods. You are gods. Keep calling yourself that. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't frustrate me. Please continue to call yourself God. So to all my target individuals, stay strong and be lucky that you're not one of them calling yourself God.
E2K, or voice to skull. This involves the projection of voices, noises, and music directly into my mind to communicate with me in real time and at the speed of thought. And it also includes the manipulation of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions in the person's mind. Additionally, the targeting is all highly perverted and sexual, as well as just
able to impose any information on the brain of a person, presumably by some kind of waves, which in the mind take the form of voices, thoughts, and images in imagination. In addition to this kind of implanting information that they need, they manipulate the psyche so that the information is written into your memory. Then by stimulating the certain regions in the brain, they can retrieve this information and present it as your own memory. This is the conclusion that can be made judging by the influence they have been making on me with their psychotronic weapons, for example artificial thoughts, imagination, and mental torture.
End my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pedophilia. This disgusting things. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting things that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind. But it is what it is. So I have no choice now but to acknowledge that there are people in my surroundings or whatever they're doing. I don't know how they do it. I don't care. I don't know if it's through weapons. I don't know. I don't.
To as malodorants. This is the alteration of the smell sensation so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat of planted.
Human breakdown tactic of belief systems and the human will. In no-touch torture, the techniques are more psychologically specialized for each target. Most common examples include homosexual targets that are forced with voices that are derogatory to their lifestyle and similar mental images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their minds.
They would never take my will, and since we all know how the psychopaths groups work with what the TI says or does, then they started during the nights to run some kind of beam where suddenly I've been wakened up at 3 o'clock in the mornings and some kind of voice comes and say phrases, sound incomprehensible, and some other times can actually catch what is saying, its not my voice, a different voice, and I realized that they are trying to program for me to take it in a way that I won't notice a possible change in my behavior. Of course this is not new, because one main thing this program is out there, is called behavior modification for the undesirable, and that's one of the excuses this groups give for the neighbor TO join, deception. I learned to talk back, in my mind, during the process when I was awakened, and I would say demeaning things, that I cannot repeat it in this blog, you know what I mean. Since they had violated me for so long, I decided to aggravate them with words in my mind. I can hear my own voice. I told them I'm going to make you pay for all of the years of torture that I've taken, and all you are going to hear is aggravation. For every single second of my privacy that you have taken away. From me and my family. Then said this, the slaves began a program of perversion. First was with my dog. I am very playful with my pet, and suddenly one day that I was petting him I felt strange, in the sense of the word. I thought, this is strange, and then afterwards that strange sensation continued. Then in that moment I realized that was impost, so I thought, look at this losers, don't know how to put me down, and they are doing this. So I told them that I know what you are trying to do, and I started laughing, and then I said again out loud, you'll never take my will, so just to show them that I meant what I said, I kept playing with my dog, and even though that attacks continue, I don't let them get me. Today they continue with the programming of perversion, but this time they are aiming in the use of people, better said young people, also children and homosexuals. When I aggravated them I usually called demeaning names, and one of them is referring to homosexuals. For me all of this slaves are misfits, society haters, scumbags, etc. No, I don't have anything personal against them, homosexuals, but as my way to aggravate the slaves, and since they love to use children for the torture and stalking, street theater etc. Especially teenagers for the stalking at close range with an attitude, they are using them during my sleep in the perversion program, and so you can imagine what the slaves of torture are pretending to do to me. In the last days, as today September 9th, 07, anything I do, either watching TV or reading of whatever I'm doing, they brush me sort of say, I feel like I'm aroused all day and I feel the palpitations in my genitals, for what I'm thinking, and since the attack comes so quickly I realized my programming has been set on auto, in their central computers, no handlers could do something like this that quick. What make me realized, the slaves are desperate to get me. Unfortunately for them they are facing a strong wall where no matter how much their computers EAP me, I know I'm not changing. As I said, I feel like they've been set up a beam where I feel constantly stimulated. I'm talking sexually, like a heat in my genitalia.
A speech-language pathologist working in private practice with young children. I had a 7-year-old client who has autism, and she was the most significantly affected of all of my clients. I eventually had to tell this client to go to another clinic. And they used her to threaten the most torture in me as well as their most extreme forms of torture. For several months, she would cry and scream horribly during our therapy sessions despite having a great day at school. This was highly unusual behavior for her, as she usually behaved very well during her therapy sessions and had been making incredible progress on all of her therapy goals. This was used to threaten extreme torture on me, making me scream and cry, etc. They would make the kids act out the kinds of torture that would later be done on me. For example, they would also sometimes make her bite her hand, threatening to make me bite my hands, as they often do. One day, she had a large, severe bite mark on her arm. She has also grabbed her crotch, saying, "Ow," and this was used to threaten me with severe sexual torture. One day, I also observed her gasping for air a few times in the same way that I do when I am being more severely suffocated. The suffocation had been in a mild state for a while up until this point. Many of their torture methods are cyclical in severity. Right after I saw this child being suffocated, then I began to experience very extreme suffocation all day, every day, for about 2 months straight, and that's also when they made it worse when I eat. Then I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, "Ow." I observed this at least on 1 or 2 occasions for each of them during their separate sessions. During one session, I observed one of my 3-year-old clients suddenly grab his crotch and lean forward in his chair. And then he made a frightening grimace of severe pain. I asked him what was wrong and if he needed to use the restroom, but he said no to having to use the restroom and was not able to verbalize anything more due to his language delay. He looked puzzled and bewildered. Even though I had stated that it was time to do more work right before this incident, I quickly just let him play another game, and he quickly returned to his joyful, happy self again. In other sessions, he has also grabbed his crotch and said, "Ow," while looking up at me.
And have had a decent education. I live in El Dorado Hills, California, with my wife of 14 years, Lorna, and our 5 children. Nicole is 15, Patricia 14, Christopher 13, Dylan 9, and Avery 16 months old. Not only have I been going through this, but my entire family has suffered right by my side. We have all experienced the same type of harassment on different levels. We have all suffered the same symptoms while this harassment was going on. Some of our physical symptoms include severe tooth decay and vision loss, unexplained rashes and burns, severe headaches, mood swings, anxiety, thyroid problems, high blood pressure, heart problems, vision loss, and cancer. Two of my children were born premature, which I attribute to this. Our son Dylan, now age 9, was born very premature. He was born at 31 weeks. During her pregnancy with Dylan, we were being targeted more so than other times. At the delivery, there were weird men walking and waiting around the hospital. Right outside our delivery room window, there was a white cargo van parked with 2 suspicious men inside. They were there the entire labor, a delivery. Our son had to be transported to another hospital 45 minutes away. When arriving to the Toa hospital, those same men and van were present. Three of my children have severe rashes that have not been explained by several doctors. These rashes have been present for several years at a time. If interested, I will gladly furnish you with detailed photos of the rashes. Our infant daughter, at 3 weeks old, was diagnosed with Lerner's syndrome. This was after a severe rash appeared on her body after a few days of torture. We were told by a couple doctors to take her home and love her and spend the rest of the time we have with her. They told us she would ultimately die from this syndrome. Thank God that Lerner's syndrome was not what affected our daughter. Doctors are still dumbfounded by her rash and symptoms. Sadly, we know that her symptoms were effects from the torture this poor innocent 3-week-old
testimony. Please do not wait 70 years.
spend the
and physical damage. My name is Catherine Nestor, and I'm from Pennsylvania. This commission has spoken of a long history of abuse of the human research subject. Although no one mentioned MKUltra today, President Clinton recently apologized for this. My young child and I have been used as non-consensual test subjects. We have been subjected to COINTELPRO-like stalking, remote neural monitoring, and electromagnetic torture, resulting in psychological and physical damage. And I won't go into the details of that because I have 4 pages written in here that is very similar to Connie's testimony. Please do not wait 70 years to investigate this. I ask Dr. Amy Gutman to begin today. There is new work for the Commission for Human Subject Protection on our shores. And please give us a dramatic response, Susan, and please give us a congressional hearing. Thank you.
Research.
The source are these exotic weapons. They talk about in 2976, but if you would pass it, it might give other communities the courage to do the same thing and show our Defense Department we are not the enemy. We are not to be attacked. We are not terrorists. Most of us are defenseless women.
And in and out, etc. They also often force vaginal discharges and zap my genitals at the same time. These sexual assaults
Was
and that everybody is not really conspiring to get you. It's more of trying to drive you crazy. To really get through something like this is to be able to vent and to do as much research as possible.
And I'm a victim of organized
we
stalking,
need this to stop.
electronic harassment, and I'm speaking to you on International Targeted Individual Day. I live in the U.S., in Illinois, and I'm a victim of organized
we
stalking,
need this to stop.
electronic harassment, microwave torture.
I've been targeted for 9 years.
24/7.
Please become more aware of this crime and those.
A typical breakdown script that's used on almost all the TI victims. TI stands for targeted individuals. Some of them are pretty crazy. They have names like Alice in Wonderland, Wizard of Oz, and those are the confusion tactics. And when they're breaking down the ego of the human through all the pains and tortures and the verbal breakdown, these are typical CIA torture scripts.
Investigation for mishandling classified material. But sexual crimes involving children, says BuzzFeed, including the viewing of images of abuse, have been uncovered at other agencies that handle sensitive information. In a November 2009 report, the Department of Defense acknowledged that dozens of Pentagon staff members or contractors had such images. In 2014, the Inspector General of the Intelligence Community found that 2 officials from the National Reconnaissance Office, which oversees America's spy satellites, acknowledged viewing images of child sexual abuse during polygraph examinations. This is so disturbing. At a symposium in 2016, Daniel Payne, a top Pentagon security official, said that when workers' computers were examined, the amount of child porn I see is just unbelievable. Is this something that is happening in the general population? Evil.
Allie, we're told, and when I was put through recruitment into the intel community, you're put through polygraphs, you're put through a rigorous selection process. Why aren't these people weeded out? Why are so many pedophiles allowed to be given top-level security clearance? Remember, these aren't just people walking in off the street and saying, hey, can I get hired? Can I get a job? You're put through an extremely rigorous background check screening process. It's called an SSBI, single scope background investigation. There are people, they interview you, they interview your family, they interview your contacts, they go through your online footprint, they go through everything. So why is it that when they're going through these footprints, they're not checking, these digital footprints, they're not checking for so many pedophiles getting through their ranks. If it were up to me, you need to go into Congress, and Congress needs to launch a brand new church committee, number one, to talk about domestic surveillance operations, but number two, to ask the question, why are there so many pedophiles sitting behind
for his inappropriate behavior of soliciting sex from young girls. And don't forget, he did that while he was assistant DA. The assistant DA.